campaign from a lingerie company called Bluebella has been described as regressive and sexist. We're asking, is it? The Strong is Beautiful campaign features female players from Britain's Rugby Sevens. They've shared their experiences with body confidence issues, and they say that the Bluebella campaign is about showing girls that they can look strong as well as feel feminine, and that sport can be empowering. But 3 former Olympians have slammed the advert as shameful, regressive and demeaning. So is the campaign sexist? Get your calls in for this one now. Susan, you found it empowering and body positive.
Absolutely.
Which seems to be a very difficult
thing for you to say, yes.
Body positive.
We'll get there, I do. I actually really feel, as a feminist, I really feel that what is sexist is telling these women to put their clothes on and not do what they've just done. That is what is sexist. And I think people are confusing sexism nowadays with sexy. And you know what? Women are allowed to be sexy, and people shouldn't tell them not to be. And I think, as a woman looking at those pictures, I do find it quite empowering because they're obviously strong, they are fit, but they're not airbrushed, they're not trying to be seductive, they're not kind of, in high heels and all kind of, fluffed up hair and pouty lips. And actually, I think it makes me look at that lingerie and think, I think it looks great, and actually it's brought it to my attention. And I don't understand what people are meant to do if they're advertising lingerie. What would people like them to advertise lingerie on? A kangaroo? They're women. Why can't they advertise lingerie?
Is the issue that the campaign is directed to young women in order to try and keep them in sport, and there's almost an oddness about that?
Oh, definitely. I feel it's totally misjudged. When nearly 2/3 of girls under 13, they drop out of sports due to body images, and we're trying to promote them getting into sport. So what we decided to do, let's do like a campaign like Some Page 3. Look, again, strong is beautiful,
like
physically fit is being beautiful, playing rugby is a beautiful thing, playing rugby in rugby attire is beautiful, but putting these women in lingerie, I think, is ridiculous, because we're not celebrating their strength or dedication to the sport or their skills. We're actually playing to stereotypes. Again, these images is almost like playing to the male gaze. It's showing that women have to be in lingerie. Again, if I'm a 13-year-old child and thinking about, should I play sport? I'm not going to be seduced by these sort of women wearing bras into playing sport.
It's really interesting to hear a male perspective on this one, because I was wondering, looking at the image, who they are trying to attract. And I looked at it and I actually thought, for once, I'm seeing women in lingerie, and they are not the typical lingerie model.
I don't think it is aimed at men. I don't think it is in that way. I think it's aimed at women who want to buy their own lingerie, and that's quite empowering.
Which is interesting, but I'm wondering, do you think that this is aimed at men, Bobby?
It's meant to be aimed at women for buying the product, but I'm trying to think, if women, children...
But you said it's to attract the male gaze.
But it does, though.
If the lingerie advert was trying to attract the male gaze, would they have used such athletic-looking women?
I think ultimately...
No, they wouldn't, is the answer. That's why you're struggling to answer it. Because the answer you're looking for, Bobby, is no,
but again,
they wouldn't.
You look at the evidence, Team GB have come out and said this is not part of our campaign. Women in Sport, whose job is to encourage young women, children and girls to get into sport, they've come out and said, actually, we should be showing this sort of incredible
But a lot of young women who might not do sport is because they think it's not feminine, and they've got to be sporty, they've got to be a certain way. And those women obviously are, they're healthy-bodied and they're fit. But actually, I think girls will drop out if they think, I can't be girl, and I can't... Do you know what women are? They're lots of different things all at the same time. And it shocks people, and we are constantly being told, more than ever now than I've ever remembered, that we have to fit into a certain box. And these women are breaking the boundaries with this, and I think it's good.
I am wondering whether actually there is an issue with the fact that we have a lingerie company essentially trying to do 2 things at once. They're trying to campaign to get young women to stay in sport, and they are also trying to sell their product. Now, their product is lingerie. Is that where the problem is? We don't want young women associated with lingerie. We don't want young women...
Who don't want? Who doesn't
Society.
want that,
we don't feel comfortable with young women feeling like they have to wear lingerie in order to be strong and beautiful. Do you know what I think
society doesn't want? It doesn't want women to explore and celebrate their sexuality. That's what I think is going on here.
Right, let's bring in journalist and author of a report of murder. This is Flic Everett into this conversation she's written in The Independent, criticising the campaign. Flic, explain to us how you feel this is different to, let's say, David Beckham in his Calvin Klein's.
Well, Bobby said a lot of it very well. It is about the male gaze, of course, because in our society, we are so used to having women presented to us in sheer lacy underwear as objects to be sexualized. And I think that the other issue that I have that's quite bizarre is that these very professional sportswomen are appearing in very sheer lacy, sexy underwear in what is effectively their workplace. You know, it's not as if they're wearing skimpy dresses on a night out. They are playing rugby, at least for the photo shoot, in their underwear. And I think the mixed messages are really appalling, because you've got young girls who might want to take up rugby and might be put off because it seems a bit blokey. So are they being told, well, you know, you can look sexy and play rugby? Because to me, that's not a great message. The message should be, it doesn't matter what you look like. It's also interesting that the women in the shoot are very attractive women. Not all female rugby players look like that, but it's very obvious that the lingerie company has chosen women with very standard good bodies, in inverted commas, who could just as easily be on Love Island. You know, they look great, but not all women do look like that. Not all teenagers feel they can aspire to that. So whether or not strong is beautiful, I don't think the message should be get your clothes off and prove it. I think the message should be sport is for everyone.
Susan, I'm going to put that point to you, because actually when I was thinking about it, and I read the point that, you know, this is not just women in underwear, this is not just strong athletic women in lingerie, they are on the rugby pitch playing their professional sport, something they excel at. When we seen David Beckham in his Calvin Klein's or any other sort of male sports star in their whitey tighties, they are normally in a studio. They are not normally doing their professional sport. But he still is who he is,
and he's still a sportsman. I don't think it matters that the very fact that they're on the rugby pitch is what is actually kind of breaking down that overtly sexual. And this constant phrase, for the male gaze. You take that argument to its final conclusion. Should we all just wear the burqa then? Is that what we're saying? That everyone should cover up because, oh my goodness, what if a man should look at us?
But if they're models modelling just lingerie for the sake of it, that's completely fine. But these are professional rugby players who are about to play for Britain in the Olympics. So therefore they should be showcased.
And it doesn't lessen their ability to do that. And it doesn't lessen their talent to do that.
I wonder whether that counters your argument, Bobby, and I'm going to put that to Flic, that you were saying these are very attractive. Of course they're attractive women. And anyway, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Absolutely. And all women have their own beauty. These women, I would say, and it is just my opinion here, they don't look like the typical lingerie model that we see, which have sort of unattainable physiques in the way that they are stick thin and quite busty, which you have to have a genetic element to, or you have to go and pay for them. You know, it's quite an unattainable physique, whereas these women, some of them are tall, some of them are short, some of them are broader, some of them are muscular. They're muscular. But muscular is almost something that we can aspire to, because if you spend some time at the gym, you eat healthy, you will obtain a physique much like the athletes that we see.
They're not airbrushed, they're showing their bruises.
But they can be wearing their rugby
Is that fair, Flic, that actually this is maybe more obtainable and more naturally aspiring for women?
I don't know why we should have to aspire to it. I think if you want to play sport, great, play sport. If you want to go to the gym and get some muscles, great. But why are we being shown role models in their underwear as something to aspire to?
Because they're advertising lingerie.
Why can't we be shown women playing sport in their sports kit, which is the appropriate outfit for getting out on the rugby pitch and getting muddy? And
heaven forbid women should be inappropriate.
Well, no, but Susan, the point Susan's making here, and it is quite an important point in this whole discussion, is this is a lingerie company advertising lingerie. So the whole point is to display the lingerie. Who should they be
Who should they be putting it on? Which women will we allow to do
women
that?
who are not known for being professional sports people. These women here, as Flic will say, they're known for being rugby players. So if they were wearing rugby outfits and it looked good on them, fine. But I almost think these three women here, they're being exploited.
Oh, how
like they're being,
I was going to ask you that question. Do you seriously think those women who are
pressurised?
Why do you think? Well, you're just making that up because you have no knowledge of that whatsoever. That they're being pressurised.
Sharon Davies, who's quite an outspoken sportswoman herself, she has tweeted plenty of criticisms about this advert, and part of it is the fact that there's a huge amount of lack of funding in female sports and women's sports, and she says that that makes it very hard to say no when these sorts of campaigns and these sorts of adverts come around.
Well,
so there might
she's
be
filling
an
in a lot
element...
of she's filling in a lot of gaps there that she's presuming that they've done. I hope they have been paid well for it, and they should be paid well for it because they are being used to sell a product. So obviously that is the case. But to say that they're being exploited, that's always... The definition of feminism is actually supporting other women's choice, not just criticising things just because you don't do it, or perhaps you don't understand it or want to do it, but actually to kind of attack these women. If they weren't being attacked for being exploited and for being rugby players, they'd be being attacked for the fact that they don't look like Love Island people. Women can't win on this.
Well, that I would probably agree with, but the attacking the athletes, I'm not sure, Flic, you are posing your criticism on the athletes themselves, are you?
No, of course I'm not. I'm criticising a culture that suggests that rugby players have to wear lingerie to show that strong is beautiful. They should be able to be strong and beautiful in normal clothes. You know, I would not expect to go into an office and see women in underwear proving that professional women can be beautiful. It's exactly the same to my mind. And it's nothing to do with whether or not women are allowed to wear whatever they like. It's nothing to do with women supporting other women's choices, which is not the definition of feminism. The definition of feminism could equally be said to be that men are not perving over women who are in their workplace and doing their job, which is something we've fought long and hard for. And I think expecting professional athletes who've attained what these women have attained to, you know, prance around in lingerie to show how strong they are is incredibly regressive.
I would just like to pose a question to Flic. Flic, how would you like lingerie to be advertised, and who should be advertising lingerie?
Well, that's a really good question. And I suppose I would say models who are paid well to advertise lingerie, because that's what we expect to see. We expect to see sexy underwear on models who are happy to model sexy underwear, not on professional sportswomen who are doing their job. And I might add, look quite uncomfortable when you look at the full series of pictures. They don't look relaxed. They don't look particularly happy. They look as if they've been squashed into basques and corsets on a freezing cold rugby pitch, and that's exactly what I take from it, that it's not necessary, it's not something that teenage girls would want to aspire to.
I think the critical words you've used there about women and men actually are quite outrageous. The fact that you've accused the women there of prancing around, which is quite derogatory. You've said that's what they're doing, and you've said that men are perving, and we don't know that men are perving at these pictures at all.
Come on, look at the picture. What do you think they're doing?
Well, your experience of men might be quite different to mine.
Okay.
I think it might. I mean, it might.
It's a fascinating debate, and I think it depends on how you're sort of viewing the images. Nathan from Cheshire, what is your thoughts when you look at this advert? What is it that you see?
I think it's great for the game. I think it promotes it, and they're not all size 10. And I remember Carrie from Sex and the City walking around in a tutu in whatever the park is there in New York.
Okay.
And I say the definition of feminism is do whatever you want.
Yes.
Whatever makes you feel happy.
I think it's for equality, Nathan. So, but
the main thing is, it's about boundaries, and you can't just say that people are looking and therefore that's an invasion. It's about wanting to empower yourself to look how you want.
Yeah.
And in that regard, I think it's, basically sod everyone else. And I think that's the definition of feminism.
Okay, part of the criticism of this advert is actually that it's not just an advert, it is a campaign. And it's a campaign that says strong is beautiful. And it is a campaign to try and keep young women, and we're talking pre-16 here, into sport. Now, do you think showing professional athletes in their lingerie is an appropriate way to attract young women to stay in sports?
Well, I didn't know it was actually aimed at the young teens. I think that's inappropriate and a bit of an own goal.
So when you saw the advert, it's interesting to hear your perspective on this. When you saw the advert, did you think it was for the male gaze, or did you think it was to empower women?
I think it's to promote the sport.
to promote the sport? Why do we need to see women in underwear to promote rugby? Surely the sport does that for itself.
Well, anything that gets people talking makes the whole thing improve its profile.
That's an interesting point, Nathan. Thank you for your call. Tim from Merseyside, what's your view on this?
Well, I think it's, showing women as strong as they can be. You say that the women in their underwear, but on the other hand, there's also adverts in men in showers. There's a lot of power, body power going on.
Okay, so you see these bodies as powerful and, I suppose, empowered, in which case the advert's doing exactly what it should do. However, the association with trying to get young women to stay in sports, how do you feel about that?
Well, to get young women into sports, yes, exactly. Very well done if they're doing that. Also get young men into sports. There's a lot of these adverts are showing young men and young women in the shower, putting their...
It's part of Flic's criticism of this campaign is that this isn't just athletes in lingerie or skimpy outfits, which we have seen time and time again, both with men and women. This is a campaign showing athletes on the pitch doing the thing they're professional at, being professional, but in their underwear. Almost saying to women they can't just be professional and they can't just be good at their sport, they have to be sexy too.
It's showing young men and young women as powerful.
OK, Tim, thank you for your call. Elaine from Hertfordshire, what's your view when it comes to this advert? Do you think that it is appropriate, sexist?
I think that, people don't understand the brand itself. I mean, if you're someone who wears Bluebella, you'd understand, and you'll see their social media campaigns, that they basically dress everybody, whether you're able-bodied, disabled, fat, thin, whatever, everybody wears Bluebella. And the lingerie itself, it's lingerie, it's sexy. So for me, this particular campaign is just another step up for Bluebella. They're saying anybody can wear what we're wearing. And I'm sorry, it is kind of virtual signaling, because I'm sorry, I'm a woman. I like to wear nice underwear. So if someone is out there...
Elaine, as a woman that likes to wear nice underwear, what did you see when you saw the campaign? What was your first reaction?
It's nice. I mean...
the underwear is nice. OK, well, it targeted...
Sorry, I was just going to say it's nice because in the end, when I see other social media campaigns from Bluebella, I see, there's a time delay, but my microphone's off, but my volume's off, but there's a time delay.
Right.
Sorry.
We can hear you.
No, I was just saying that with other Bluebella campaigns, what I see are different women, different size women wearing the sexy underwear. So why can I not? Yeah, so why can I not, still look at the underwear and say it's beautiful? It means that I'm included. I don't have to look like a slinky model to wear this kind of thing. Yeah. So why not?
I should also mention that the Strong is Beautiful campaign has been running since 2016. So although this is their latest picture campaign, this sort of overarching theme has been running for quite some time. Michelle from Devon, what do you see when you see these images?
Well, I'm just horrified because I agree with Bobby. Absolutely. He's absolutely 100% is exploiting women, basically because, well, it's children. I mean, do we really want our children to be viewing things like I've seen this morning? One of the pictures leaves nothing to the imagination. It shows our whole private area.
Right. I haven't seen that picture, I have to confess, Michelle. I'll check that out a little bit later. But I'm just wondering whether you can see Bluebella's point in their campaign that they are trying to say that you can stay in sport, you can still be feminine, you can still be everything that you're worried that you're going to lose if you become an incredibly athletic person, to try and maintain women's part in sport, to keep that sort of momentum up for young women, and they seem to lose it around 13, 16.
Why would you have to wear these sort of clothes though? Why has it got to be so revealing?
But you don't have to wear those clothes. It's just, even if you're an athlete, it's an option that's open to you.
Well, I just think it's the children. I wouldn't like to say, I don't want to think where humanity's going with our children seeing this.
Michelle, thank you very much for your call. And actually, I think there'll be a lot of people out there that are feeling the same way, quite confronted in seeing these images. And I do wonder, Susan, whether it's not actually seeing people in underwear, because we are flooded with that. It's actually
seeing real people.
Not seeing real people either. It's the fact that this is being used to try and attract young girls.
Yes.
We're talking 13-year-old girls into sport. Why on earth are we in a position in society that we think it is appropriate to have professional athletes in underwear to attract young women into sport?
I mean, I don't think the 13-year-old girls are necessarily going to be the market who's going to buy that underwear, but they are at that age kind of getting to a point where they're feeling, you know, they're kind of exploring their own kind of feelings, they're kind of getting into romantic relationships, and actually that does conflict sometimes when you're at that age with being sporty and with being fit. And I think it's, so I just come back to the original point that I think it is a healthy message to show people that women are many things, that you can be a rugby playing sports person and you can like nice lingerie and have a sexuality. And I think that's why everyone's getting their knickers in a twist about it, to be quite honest.
But the issue that I have is, again, as a teacher, I've been in secondary schools for a decade, and I'm thinking about my students that are in year 8, year 9, year 10, 13, 14. Does this campaign make them more likely to want to take up rugby as a sport? I think maybe not. They're not going to go, oh, sir, look at this. If they saw these women in rugby gear on a pitch, they'd be like, oh, look at them, they look strong and powerful. But they see them in lingerie.
As a teacher, you know how much children nowadays and teenagers are being exposed to on their phones, and all the kind of pornographic images they can see. This, I think, is quite a good antidote to all that. This is a much more healthy and wholesome image than the sort of things that they might be finding.
OK, I think we had a message from Bluebella, which we'll get to in a minute. But Martin from Sheffield, what's your view when you look at this campaign?
Well, if the ladies in the photographs are happy to do it and they're not being forced to do it, who's got the right to say you're doing wrong?
Well, Sharon Davies makes the point that actually the lack of funding in women's sports does make it incredibly difficult for female sports professionals to say no to these sorts of campaigns because it's funding they absolutely crucially need.
But they've chose to do it, so who's got the right to say what you're doing is wrong?
OK.
It's a case that I made the choice, nothing to do with anybody else.
That's OK, on another point, that is one element to this whole debate, but on another point, do you think that it is appropriate to use female professional sports stars in lingerie to try and get young women, we're talking as young as 13, to continue in sport?
There's no problem with that because the young ladies, the 13, 14-year-olds are at this state of their life, they're going to be thinking, if I want to play rugby, I'm going to get muscles, I'll not look attractive. The photographs say the exact opposite. I can play rugby, I can get muscles, and I will still look attractive.
Right, Martin, thank you very much for your call and your point of view there. Just to say also that we invited Bluebella onto the programme and they sent the following statement. Instead, they say, we have been running the Strong is Beautiful campaign for 9 years with the aim to celebrate and normalise strong female bodies that are traditionally ignored by the lingerie industry. Our intention is always to empower women. So there you go.